Hey guys, welcome back to Phil Plays TCG. It's been a couple days since my last upload, but you know what? I'm back with a updated tier 2.5 list. Basically now with the ban list taking effect on July 1st, we are going to be seeing a whole new meta now that Top Coup has officially been nerfed. I'm excited. There's a lot of possibilities here. Of course, there hasn't been any big events yet since I haven't even gotten to July 1st yet. But I'm going to do my best to give my perspective of what I could see the meta looking like. And yeah, I'm hoping to have some fun with it. Unfortunately, Michael is not here today. He has some daddy duties he has to do. You know, we love him for it. But I did talk with him last night about all the different colors, the perspective decks, and we're gonna kind of see what's going on here with an updated list. So before we get into the video, make sure to do all that favorite YouTuber stuff. Like, sorry, it's a little early. I'm recording this. Like and subscribe to the video if you like Dragon Ball Super Fusion World content. Let's try to get this video to 50 likes. That would be swell. And yeah, let's hop in here. So tier list, I did change them up a little bit because I realized I probably should start using more layers, not clumping everything into such few tiers. So we have tournament winners, decks you can see winning big tournaments. Top cut decks you may not see like winning the tournament, but you can definitely see them being in the top percentage, you know, in the top half or the top 8 or top 16 of the meta. You have rogue decks, which are decks that are good into certain top tier decks, but not great into everything else. With the right pilot, a rogue deck I feel like could get into these upper tiers, but you know, we haven't had a rogue tier since set 1, so this will be interesting. And then locals, which are decks that you probably should just stick to locals with. They're not amazing anymore at this point, but you know, they are fun to play at your local level. And finally, needs help. And I'm just going to go ahead and put Cooler in needs help. I like Cooler, I really do, but unfortunately, he just... he didn't get any support in set 2, same stuff. Even with the ban list, Cooler just doesn't do the aggressive yellow thing the best. That would act... if we're talking about yellow leaders that do aggro the best, unfortunately, Cooler's not it, but you know who is it? Which just hurts to say. Ginyu. Going from Cooler to Ginyu. Oh my lord. What a comeback story. From zero to hero. Ginyu is deceptively good now, which is insane because he doesn't use anything in set 2, really. Like, there may be some argument for like a card or two, but for the most part, Ginyu is just going to be running the set 1 Ginyu package, and with red not being able to wipe the board as frequently as it does, and with green being a resurgence in the meta, yeah, like Ginyu actually has a shot. I've been playing against Ginyus on the online client lately, and it's still gross. Now, of course, if you clear their board and just manage their board with other colors, I do feel like with blue in particular, I feel like it is a lot easier of a matchup. But the thing that green hates is wide boards, and that's why Top Coup was so prevalent against green. Now, with green making a resurgence with Top Coup nerfed, you know what? Yellow Ginyu has some room to work with. So he has some room to dance, and he's really, really good at it. It is funny, like I said, he just doesn't use anything in set 2, but he's still good. He's still solid. Yeah, I'm confident that Ginyu could be up in top cut. Maybe there's some argument to put him in the rogue tier, because blue is also going to see a pretty big hit in this next format, which blue into yellow is in favor of blue. So, you know what? Let's put Ginyu in rogue for now. Maybe that'll change in this video. I'm hyping Ginyu up because he is good. Don't get me wrong. While we're just working with yellow, let's just work with the other yellow leader here. Yellow leaders, sorry. Vegeta. I think Vegeta is going to be a solid rogue deck because green does have a bit of a weakness into yellow, like we mentioned, and yellow Vegeta can go the long game, being able to tap out every turn and then restand 2. You have options. So you have options for really good tech cards like Awakening to Super Saiyan Blue, or Awakening to Blue Power, sorry, which can handle like green's big bosses. A lot of yellow's cards can keep stuff tapped down. I think the more green we see, the more yellow we're gonna see, and I think that green is going to have a harder time dealing with yellow's board. Now, of course, if green gets to its later game and can stabilize, that's going to be pretty difficult to get around. But I do think that yellow has a really good shot in this upcoming format. Vegeta is just a really solid leader with a lot of great tools. Similar to Frieza, I'm going to put Frieza in top cut here because like Vegeta, Frieza has the ability to restand 2 cards at the end of turn, but in this case, battle cards. So it forces green to focus on clearing the board without swinging into their bodies. So you can swing with your blockers, swing with your big bodies, and then restand them so they are protected. Heck, you can even swing with your smaller bodies, and then you can protect those. Now, like I said, kind of the same reasons why Vegeta is where he is at. Yellow is just in a good spot. The more green that's in the meta, the more the stronger yellow is going to be. I think with a lot of the tools that we have, and hell, there was even a Frieza that got top 13, like 13th place, I believe, in the last Chicago regional. Good for them. Like, I've always thought yellow was just in a weird spot because of the meta, but now that Topku's nerfed, yellow I think is in a really solid spot. Going forward, yellow is just going to be the it's kind of a more annoying color to deal with, just because they can freeze everything, they can rest your cards. It's going to be cool. I think yellow's in a really solid spot, and I'm pretty happy with putting the 4 yellow leaders where they are now. Now, let's talk about red here. So let's, elephant in the room. Topku is nerfed. I'm sorry to those who alted art their decks, which is why I'm so hesitant to ever alt art a deck fully, because if the deck is doing way too well, there's always a good shot that it's going to be nerfed. So it's never a good idea to fully deck out something. Sorry, fully alt art a deck that is doing way too well that it's going to get nerfed. Something to think about in the future. That's why I buy alt art blue stuff, because blue's never gonna get entirely nerfed like that, unfortunately. So let's talk about red. Topku was always up top. Topku was always the best deck in the format, last set or last meta. Now with his nerf, with Roshi and Ribrianne being banned and Kefla being limited to 1, which I do believe is not the right move. Kefla was not a problem in other decks. It was just a problem in Topku. So with that, man, this is a tough one. I still think Topku is good. I do think Topku is good. The problem is he's lost a lot of his... He lost his Roshi, which is early game. He lost his Kefla, which is mid game. And then he lost his Ribrianne, which was end game. So he's lost a piece of each of his, spots he wants to be in during the game. It's really rough. So I think, unfortunately, until we can kind of see how the meta develops, Topku's probably going to be locals level. Because now that red can't go late game like they used to, going into green is going to be very dangerous. Sure, they can still play great cards like the 3-drop Gohan, 3-drop Android 17, the 3-drop Kefla, Kato Pesla, great choices. They can still free play things, but unfortunately just don't pack that same punch that playing the 4-drop Kefla did. So unfortunately, I feel like Topku is just going to be at a locals level. He might be he's still a good deck in my opinion, but now you just have to play him very differently, which is not the most ideal way. Beerus, I'm gonna throw Beerus into Rogue, because Beerus, the only thing Beerus lost was Kefla and Roshi. It didn't really rely on Ribrianne for its late game. Beerus focused on crit and board removal, which I still think he has great access to. He still has the 3-drop Gohan that allows him to, swing minus something 15 and then use his leader ability to minus 10. He just has to now awaken. It's a little harder for him to awaken now because he doesn't have the Roshi. And you're going to have to build the deck to be very board control focused. And you're what I talked with Michael about last night is that Beerus lost his ability to push. So now Beerus is definitely going to have to play the slower game, which can be rough, especially since Green prefers the slower game. But I still think there's argument for Beerus being a solid red deck, but I think Rogue is going to be his best tier for that. Now, we have the 2 Gokus, Super Saiyan Starter Goku and Super Saiyan Blue U7. This is a rough one. I watched Tarmo Tim's video he did with Cody, and these two love to argue about which deck is the superior deck. I don't know. I kind of see U7 Goku being in the same vein as Beerus being like a rogue deck. Like it's just gonna be filled with red stuff deck, and like good red stuff deck, and like the ability to bump one of your cards by 5k during your turn or your opponent's turn is really solid. But I don't know. I just don't see it being as aggressive. I definitely think it could be like I said, a rogue deck for sure. But it is, I don't know. It's in the same level as Beerus. It just takes the right person, takes the right build. It's going to be a lot slower of a game. And yeah, I think Top Ku is in it. Sorry, not Top Ku. Starter Ku. I've said Top Ku so many times recently. Starter Ku, I think, is a good red deck. It's just I gotta see the proper build for it. U7 though, I'm gonna go on a limb, and this is maybe me like stretching a little bit. I could see U7 being now the best red deck in the format because a lot of the good red stuff that we got in set 2 also has the U7 tag. We have the 1-drop Frieza that becomes a 25k body when this leader is awakened. You have the Gohan, you have the Android 17. You have the ability to go wide to a certain extent and be aggressive. And I think this red leader in particular is one of the best leaders you can play into green. 100%. It does have its problems though. 100%. It's same thing with Ginyu. If you lose your board, you are SOL because this leader doesn't recoup its hand as quickly as Top Ku did. But I do have hope that U7 is going to be a pretty solid red deck. It has the aggression to match green, and it can still be pretty scary. But that's just me personally. We'll have to see how the format turns out. But I think for red, I think this is a pretty solid list here. I'm just gonna throw Ginyu up there real quick. Yeah, we'll move Ginyu to top cut. More I think about it, I think Ginyu is pretty solid. Let's do green, the boogeyman of this next set. Broly. Oh man, Broly is. It's so weird how Broly was like one of the best decks in set 1, and now like he's been overshadowed in his own color so much. I think I'm gonna put Broly down at locals level because Broly is actually let's put Broly in local. In rogue. I think the 25k body on Broly is still good. Broly's pieces, like if Broly could pop off, he pops off. But man, I don't know, because like a lot of his best pieces we know how to deal with. His 5-cost Goku, he needs that to be able to keep drawing on his backside. If you can force Broly to awaken way too quickly, it is hard for him to stabilize because he needs that draw side. But I know because green is going to be good this next set regardless. I think Broly is solid. Broly is still going to be a solid leader. Yeah, I think Rogue's a good option for him. Androids, we're gonna throw up in tournament winners. Androids got so much support in set 2. The 4-cost dual androids that allows them to basically play for 4, restand 3 energy is disgusting. Especially if you can pop off 2 of these in the same turn. It is just, it's gross. They're 20k swingers. It's nasty. Sure, there's debates if you need to run Dro's Lab, which I still think there's a reason to run it, especially now that the format is slowing down a bit. You actually have that turn to be able to play it, and there's nothing that can be done with field cards. The only card I'm aware of that can deal with field cards is Zeno in blue, so having a field card is going to be, it's going to work. It's going to be easy. Androids just being able to swing for 30k, go into the long game, play your big bodies like Cell, like Broly, stabilize your life. It's gross. Going from like one of the worst green decks in set 1 to being possibly one of the best, if not the best green deck in set 2 is awesome. It's cool to see that. Speaking of decks that were topping, I'm gonna throw Gohan into Top Cut. There were some Gohan players that I was near in the Peoria regional event, and they were doing good. Green is like UniX TCG says. Green is always one turn away from stabilizing and making a comeback. Gohan was arguably the best deck in the format in set 1, one of the best decks, I should say, at the very least. And now that red is slowing down and green has the room to breathe now, I think Gohan is going to still be one of the best green decks. It's lost its luster in set 2. It didn't get as much support, not as much as androids did. It's still a really, really good deck, but a lot of its gameplay, we kind of know how to handle. We know its key pieces. We know how to handle them, but it's still a great deck if it pops off 100%. And then finally, the last green leader here, I'm going to say Cell. I think Cell's a really solid leader. I could see him being low tournament winner bracket or high Top Cut. Like, Cell is gross. It's just, it got a lot of really good cards in set 2 when it was released. The 8-drop Cell is gross. The Cell Junior card is absolutely disgusting, being able to grab extra cards. The biggest thing though with Cell is Cell Games Arena. Being able to grab being able to look at the top card of your deck, either put it into your hand or ramp it, or charge it, is insane. Especially since you get to look at the card first before you make that decision. You're essentially getting an extra draw per turn, and green having a fat hand is absolutely terrifying. So I can absolutely see Cell doing very well. I'll admit, I don't know what order these really should be in, to be honest, but I think this is fair. This is fine. Probably can move these around a little bit. But yeah, I think green is in a very, very good spot. As you can see here, it's in the top percentage of this bracket here. But let's talk about blue, because you know me, I'm the resident blue player. I'm gonna go and say, let's start with Zamasu here. Zamasu, I'm gonna put in Rogue. Now hear me out on this. I was super excited for Zamasu. The more and more I played it, I liked it. But of course, when the set fully dropped and people started discovering what was good and what was bad, I realized that Zamasu just really wasn't the style for me. Like, Zamasu wants to go long game, and Topku didn't really like to go long game, but could go long game. And eventually it just kind of got to a point where Zamasu couldn't even do what it needed to do, which was go long and stabilize, because Topku would just pummel their shit in. Sorry for my French. And I never liked its ability, because being a 25k leader on its backside is great, but the problem is it doesn't draw. And Topku could just swing in 25ks no problem. So that extra boost really didn't do much for me, and Topku could still draw on its backside. So that's why I didn't play Zamasu in the regional I went to. Now that green is around though, Zamasu, you would think, okay, Zamasu can work better. The thing is, I don't think it does. The problem is green wants to go into the long game more than Zamasu does. So Zamasu really doesn't have a huge end game besides playing Goku Blacks. Green has, 8-drop Broly, 8-drop Cell, 6-drop Gohan. Like, it has a much better end game than Blue does. So I think in the right matchup, Zamasu can do very, very well. Specifically, like into the Ginyu matchup, into like yellow matchup, hell, even like possibly the U7 matchup, maybe. But against Green, it's not going to do so well. I am excited though that you can now build the deck differently. You have options like being able to play the 1-drop Shin that lets you search for Batara cards, which is there's a lot of really good Batara cards. So there is potential. I'm still testing that. You should look out for a video in the upcoming future. But I think for now, Zamasu is right to be in the rogue tier. Next, let's put Trunks. Trunks, I think, is excuse me. Trunks is a very good blue leader. It's the one I played at Peoria. I love this leader so much. It is a very combo focused deck. And if you can see your play lines and you can, get your opponent down to 1, you could go in for the biggest swing at the end. We're talking about like green numbers for big. But it does require a lot of thought and requires a lot of brain power. And it requires, managing a lot of your lower cost cards, because you don't want to run a lot of big cards in Trunks. You want to run a lot of low cost cards, because every turn you want to be maximizing how many cards you're playing, how many cards you're recycling. So I do think Trunks is absolutely one of the better blue decks in the format right now, but it's not going to be as good as these next two here. As you can see, we have Vegeta and Goku Black, and we're just going to put both of these guys in tournament winners. So we'll start with Goku Black. Goku Black was probably the worst blue leader in the last format, because he plays blue differently than the other blue decks. The proper build with Goku Black is to basically fill the deck with Goku Black and Zamasu cards, and that way you have the most consistency pieces. You then just kind of pressure your opponent with crit swings in the beginning. You awaken as quickly as you can, so then you can start playing your Goku Black 6-drop as early as possible, so you can start spamming the board with big swings and bigger bodies. The problem was that it was so easy for Red to get rid of your pieces, which are your Zamasu and your Zamasu pieces, because you need your Zamasu. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Red can probably still do that, but let's face it here. Red is going to take a back seat in this next upcoming format, and I think that this gives Goku Black the room to breathe. It is also one of the few decks that can really kind of push into green really hard. Same with Vegeta, but Goku Black just does it a little differently. Like, those crit swings early on really help give green player some pressure. And now that the rule changed, so the player 1 now draws, so even if we have to go first, we still get that extra draw, which, hey, 1 extra card is going to be better than none. It does help Goku Black in the long run. And with its consistency pieces now, I think Goku Black is just in a great spot right now. There's a lot of videos that are saying the same thing, that Goku Black is now one of the better blue decks in the format. I don't know which one is better, Goku Black or Vegeta, because Vegeta can also it puts in work. It runs a lot of the blue package that Trunks and Zamasu would run, but it does have its own little few tech pieces like the Bulma. A lot of people don't run the 4-cost rare Vegeta, but with the format slowing down, I actually think it's not an awful decision to run that. But Vegeta just being able to push 35k and to lead every single turn or deal with some of your opponent's bigger bodies, it's really solid. My brother up in his local said there's some guy who's been winning his last few locals with Vegeta, and he's been undefeated. He does not lose to green. It's gross, but I love to see it. Blue is in a great spot this meta. These two, Vegeta and Goku Black, are going to be fighting for the title of best blue deck in the format, but I think they're great for different reasons, But yeah, I think that's going to be the end of the tier list here. Let me look here. Is there anything I would want to change? Like, I'm really bad with placement of things. I want to say Zamasu can go a little higher. I think Broly could go a little higher than that. Trunks, I want to say... I want to say it's like that. Maybe... I don't know which of these three is the best right here, though. I think we'll have to see how the meta turns out. I don't know if there's any big events until Gen Con, but if there are, like, there are probably going to be some smaller events too. We'll see the meta shake out, and we'll kind of find out who's the best leader of the new format. But hey, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. We're going to call it quits for today. Remember, if you haven't hit that like button or subscribe button, you should do that. If you try to get this video to 50 likes, that would be fantastic. And I will see you on the next video. Take care, guys.